We are in Mpumalanga, in White River, and I feel like this place is coming from my heart because of how subtle, safe, and still it has been for me the last 2 weeks that I've been here doing my artist residency. It's the 5th year that I've been collaborating with the studio, with Mark Atwood. And what I like about being here is just how they give me space to be, space to show up the way I feel like. What's interesting about this time around, I was coming from almost like an artist block, I would say. But I think beyond being an artist block, I think I hadn't had space to be vulnerable. I think doing the gallery work and artistic work, there's a bit of conflict where it's like my work is very personal, it's very about the baggage, and then it feels like you can't air that out and hold a directorial position, because then it's just like, well, what a mess. And I think for a while I just tried to be so clean and then realized that I don't have to be. I really don't have to be. So it feels like the first time since maybe 2020 where I've been able to just like come back to myself and try create from an honest space.
So we're just wrapping up a 2-week collaboration with Banele, and what we do is we provide the film and the plates and the stones and whatever the artist needs to make a print. We provide all the technical guidance, and then we do all the technical stuff with rolling out the ink and cranking the press. So the artist really concentrates on doing what they do best. They don't have to worry to learn how to etch a stone. And the way that we'll work is Banele will draw one plate and we would roll it up, see what he's got, and it's a very fluid, collaborative process. We don't have any prescriptive things of how we've got to do it, and it's really in being awake to what the artist wants, being present in the moment while you're working with them, trying to get under their skin and understand what they're wanting to do without taking control of the process. Because I think as a printer who's worked with many artists for 30 years, it's easy to say like, I know what to do with this. But actually you don't. The artist has their own way of doing things, and you might think you know what to do, and it's learning to step back and allow the artist to feel their way through and come up with something that's uniquely theirs, not something that's been directed by the printer. We're very much a creative space and not a space that directs what artists need to make.
What I've been working on since I've been here, I think the first impression that I did was actually a portrait of Lima, the portrait of a dog. And that's the first time I have like a pet in my work. And it was so natural because it was like almost like love on first sight from Lima. It's like immediately on arrival, they're just like, you're my person now. And that was interesting because it was love without any work in it. It was just like immediate, like, I'm gonna love you. And I think very often as humans, we don't have that, where it's like, it almost like there has to be work, there has to be an impression that you have to give before, or like you have to put on your own suit to feel like you're worthy of love. And Lima has loved me for this last 2 weeks, and I've had a companion in the sense of like, they show up every day, see Lima before I sleep and when I wake up. And yeah, I just didn't feel alone for a bit. And I think that's the space I've been the last couple of years, where it's like you want to feel it, but I think the schedules, like work schedules, they just don't give that space. And I think the environment here actually also gave me a sense of family as well, where we eat together. Didn't do that in the first week because I was in my work mindset, but when I slowed and started enjoying the space and giving myself space, started being at the lunches way more, sometimes the breakfast as well, and hiking every day. And I think that made me feel less alone. And then with the work, I think I wanted to bring in a couple, but that's not where I'm at. I think it became more of like an introspective self-portraits. I just remember getting a work email that stressed me out so much. And I think it ruined the flow of other work that I was doing. And then from that anxiety, I just created a work. And in that moment, I didn't really care about how it was gonna come out. I just released these emotions. And then it's called, I don't remember when last I created without care. And it's actually, it feels like it's so significantly by itself. Like it's the one on the bottom right, where it's very close to my digital drawings. And that's the impression I also wanted to create. But I couldn't capture that in the other works after. And yeah, I think just being here has given me space to process my emotions. The work, Love is on the Way, which is the still life with purple tulips. I think, number one, I got the tulips for myself. Like I saw them at the store and I was like, I want this for my bedside. And usually I have flowers as a sense of ground. And actually I was coming back, it was literally after my second trip from Joburg and coming back, and I just wanted something to ground me that moment. But I think I've been drawn to like still lives. It's kind of like capturing, it feels like a singular moment where yes, you can have multiple tulips, but that specific bunch, it's a once-off. And I think for me, I relate it to humanity, where it's like, I think why sometimes we're not so present in our friendships or like into moments, it's because we always feel like the person is there and you're gonna see many other versions of them. So you're kind of like not fully grasping that moment. With flowers, like as you shift, there's a growth. Like even just now when I came here, the petals are already falling. And that's a moment you wanna capture. And I think same with humans, like every day we're changing, but we're not there to see it. And I'm hoping this can spill into my relations as well, starting with family, because I think the amount of busy that one keeps on, it really takes you off from family. And I think the nice thing about the still life as well is that because it's family here, I felt I had to be a bit subtle with my work, where it's like there's a lot of sexual innuendos sometimes that I would want to introduce into my work, but here it had to be like kind of like refined because of the immediate audience. And I like how it creeps up and reveals itself. And also it's not the first time around as well. It's just a continuation. And also just love the title, Love is on the Way.
Lithography is really a process that lends itself to people who paint. When we're trying to find artists that we want to invite to come and make prints, we look for people who have a painterly quality in their work. And one of the sort of really difficult things to do in lithography are these delicate touche washes. You've got to put them on really liquid. You need to not work them around when you lay them down. You've got to wait patiently for hours and hours, sometimes overnight, for them to dry. And if you do fiddle with them, they come out looking kind of dead. And Banele has that ability just to lay down these washes and see how they're going to dry. And I think of all the artists we've worked with over the years, he really just has the absolute knack for them. He's got a sensitivity and a willingness to let go, to just do what he does, and the prints come out just beautifully because of it. I mean, I really look at some of the things we've made in the last 2 weeks and I think, wow, those have got to be the best touche wash prints I've ever worked on.
Sometimes you can be lost in service of other people and you put their needs ahead of yours. And I think that can sometimes cloud you from yourself or feel more worthy as well because people need you. And then you almost lose sight of self. And I think that's what had been happening the last couple of years, where it's like the stuff I wanted to do but not do because I didn't want to put myself as a priority over others. And I think there's now almost going to be a reintroduction of myself, where it's like coming back to my own artistical dreams, I would say, because I think there was a sense of like quietness in that space, especially like the visual output. And I made this work, it's called It's Time to See Yourself Again. And I think in moments like when I'm here, because I'm interacting with everyone via a cell phone or like via email, it gives me enough distance to look at myself again. Like, oh, what do you want to do? What do you want to pursue? Are you happy with this life? And I like that question, because then when you ask yourself that question, you begin to form answers. And same with moving to Durban. I think, well, not moving, but staying also in Durban, it's that distance where it's like you have time to see yourself again. And I think this is going to be a reintroduction of Banele Khoza as an artist.